The Golden Ticket giveaway has been launched, with Borders residents encouraged to nominate individuals to ride on the new line on September the 5th, when 3 special trains will leave Tweedbank, Galashicls and Stow, each carrying 160 Golden Ticket passengers. Leader of the Scottish Borders Council, David Parker.
Well, Golden Ticket Saturday is going to be a very special day. It'll be an opportunity for many Borders residents to get themselves a ticket and get on one of the very first trains that will run on the new Borders Railway. We've got 3 special trains running, one leaving Tweedbank, one leaving Galashicls and one leaving Stow. They go to Edinburgh, then they come back to the departure stations again. We promise a whole host of on-train entertainment. There'll be a number of civic receptions to go to on that day as well, and certainly it'll be a very special day. And we're very keen that Borders nominate each other and nominate the local unsung heroes in our communities to be the first passengers on the new Borders Railway.
So how's it all going to work?
Well, basically there's an application form, so you put forward a nomination of somebody, either an individual or a group who you think deserve to be on the train. You tell us why you think that they should be on the train, and we have a special panel who will look at those applications and then we'll decide. And if you nominate somebody, then your name will go into a special draw, and all those who nominate have a chance of winning one of 25 golden tickets, also to get one of those special train journeys.
The first to receive a golden ticket is David Romanus for his community work and strong links to the former Waverley line.
I had very fond memories of the Waverley line. When I went to college in Edinburgh, I used to get the train on the Monday morning and then come back on a Friday night. The trains were packed. These trains were packed at the time.
A lot of people saying it was a big injustice, the beaching cuts, etc. What are your own thoughts?
My feeling on that is, of all the railway closures in Britain, it was a closure too far. And I think that was borne out in the fact that the railway's even coming back again.
So how does that make you feel now that it is?
I'm absolutely thrilled, absolutely thrilled.
And this day, looming, September, you'll be there, one of the first people on a train.
Yes, yes, I really can't wait for that to come.
Standing here at the Transport Interchange, which isn't far away now.
It's coming on very well. Very shortly we'll be seeing the very special silver cladding, which will be very unique for Galashicls going onto the building, and certainly things are progressing extremely well as we head towards driver training and the start of operational services in September. Big changes going on now. The signals are going in, stations are nearing completion, a lot of work's going on to make sure that the car parks and all the approach roads are being done, and certainly every week there's significant progress up and down the length of the line, and as they head really to progressing the project to the June driver training date, which is very critical.
What other news can you tell us at the moment?
Well, it's an exciting time at the moment. We've got the work going on in the Transport Interchange. We're hoping to be announcing some of the businesses and organisations that might be going into the new Transport Interchange very shortly. There's some development activity going on, and of course we're launching the Golden Tickets today, which is the first part of the celebrations, but we've got more to say about the celebrations in the weeks ahead.
Well, obviously the big change since 2012 is we've seen the reconstruction of the railway, and that's been an enormous project with up to 1,100 contractors on any one day working on the railway. Lots of new structures built, old structures refurbished, and we're going to see what will be the longest railway to be built in Scotland since 1901. So that was part of the thinking, and of course that period has been not without its political controversies about the nature of the infrastructure specification for the railway, the amount of double track, the amount of single track, etc. So that's been in there. But also I've been lucky over the last couple of years to come across some more archive material from the late 1960s, and that's provided some very interesting insights into more of the reasons why the route was closed, and frankly exposes the fact that it should never have been closed north of Hawick in the very first place. But, you know, it came very close to surviving the railway north of Hawick, and one of the things that came out of my research was finding the minutes for some of these crucial meetings in London that decided the fate of the railway. And that shows, for example, that the absence of two ministers at a particularly crucial meeting may have made the difference between the railway surviving or not surviving. So there's been a lot to find out through researching public archives, private archives as well, and it's been great to find new material in the last 3 years. I thought it was very important to start primarily from the Beeching report in 1963, although I do, and this is unlike the paperback edition first time round, I now talk about the first century of the railway, from Victorian times right through until the Beeching report in 1963. So that's some additional material, because really to understand why the railway closed in 1969, you actually have to go back to some of the origins of the railway way back in the 19th century. So there's a fantastic linkage there that I wasn't really aware of myself until I started the research. And I've also had a chance to speak to Councillor David Parker, the leader of Scottish Borders Council, about some of the political tensions over the last 10 or 20 years. And you know, David's had to tread quite a delicate path between two sides, the supporters of the railway on the inside and the campaigners on the outside, all with the same objective essentially, but not necessarily always agreeing on all the detail of what this railway should involve. It has to be said, over the last 2 or 3 years, campaigners have found it pretty hard going trying to deal with Transport Scotland, the Scottish Government agency. There was a time when they were really quite open-minded and constructive, but they seem to have closed ranks in the last few years. And that's posed difficulties, and I think it's led to frustration on the part of campaigners, because we're seeing a railway delivered that's not really as good as it might have been. I think it's regrettable that the way the railway's been designed, and this really goes back to the original feasibility study in 1999-2000, is there's very little spare capacity for trains other than the ScotRail service, really other than in the evenings and on Sundays. So you're potentially excluding a big market for tourist charter trains coming from English cities, luxury land cruise trains like the Royal Scotsman. And there is a worry as to how you squeeze this in without affecting the reliability of the service. So I think it's going to be difficult. Some ScotRail trains, I think on Saturdays, probably in the middle of the day, will have to be cancelled to accommodate charters from the south. But these charters will bring in a lot of economic benefit to the Borders. But it's a difficult balance, and the railway is not as flexible as really it should have been.